Are you learning English, or are you ready to understand the world through English? When you think about Japan, what comes into your mind? Clean streets, advanced technology, disciplined people, bright city lights, and perfect order? But let me ask you something important. If a country looks perfect on the outside, does that mean everything inside is perfect too? Today, on English Highlight, we are going to explore a powerful and surprising story that will completely change the way you think. The Japanese government says that only 0.003% of its population is homeless. Yes, almost zero. It sounds like Japan has solved a problem that many developed nations still struggle with. It sounds like a success story. But is it really the full truth? By the end of this video, you will understand how homelessness in Japan did not disappear, it became invisible. Let us begin by imagining that you are walking through the streets of Tokyo. The roads are spotless, there is no garbage on the ground, you barely see trash cans, yet everything is clean. You do not see people sleeping on sidewalks, you do not see many people begging for money. Compared to other major cities in the world, it feels almost unreal. Naturally, a question comes to your mind. Where are the homeless people? Have they truly disappeared? Or is there something else happening behind the scenes? To understand this mystery, we must travel back in time. After World War II, Japan was completely destroyed. Cities were burned, industries collapsed, and millions of people lost their homes. The country had to rebuild from nothing. But something extraordinary happened. Japan entered a period known as the Japanese economic miracle. The economy grew rapidly. Factories were built with modern technology. Robots and advanced machines were introduced. The government supported businesses by keeping taxes low and making loans easily available. Large companies formed powerful business groups, helping each other grow stronger. People worked extremely hard. Long hours became normal. Loyalty to the company became a core value. By the 1980s, Japan had become one of the largest economies in the world. During this time, a special culture developed, the salaryman culture. Many men gave their entire lives to their companies. They worked late nights and even weekends. In return, companies promised lifetime employment. They offered stable salaries, housing support, and social status. For many Japanese men, their job was not just work, it was their identity. Let me ask you something. If your job defines who you are, what happens when you suddenly lose that job? Who are you without it? By the end of the 1980s, Japan's economy seemed unstoppable. Land prices and stock prices rose higher and higher. People believed the growth would never end. But what happens when something grows too fast? It becomes unstable. The economic boom turned into a giant bubble, and in 1989, that bubble burst. The stock market crashed. The Nikkei index lost more than half its value. Land prices collapsed. Companies lost massive amounts of money. This period became known as the Lost Decade. Now here's where everything changed. Companies could no longer promise lifetime employment. Many workers, especially older men in their 50s, were forced to leave their jobs. These were not lazy people. They were not criminals. They were hard-working businessmen who had trusted the system. Suddenly, they had no income, no security, and no identity. Imagine working for 30 years and then being told you are no longer needed. What would you do? Where would you go? Soon, something unusual appeared in Japan's clean cities. In parks and along riverbanks, small blue tents began to grow. They were called blue tent villages. They were organized and surprisingly tidy, but they represented a serious problem. For a society that valued order and perfection, these tents were shocking. People felt uncomfortable seeing them. But here's something interesting. The discomfort was not mainly about sympathy. It was about visibility. The problem could be seen, and that damaged the image of a perfect Japan. So how did the government respond? Did they build thousands of affordable homes? Not exactly. In 2002, a new law was introduced that redefined homelessness. Only people sleeping outdoors in specific public places like parks, riverbeds, roads, or train stations were officially counted as homeless. If someone stayed in a shelter or temporary housing, they were not included in the statistics. Suddenly, thousands of people disappeared from the official numbers. Let me ask you, if you change the definition of a problem, does the problem really go away? Cities also introduced something called hostile architecture. Park benches were redesigned with metal armrests to prevent people from lying down. Spikes were placed under bridges. Fences blocked hidden sleeping areas. Public spaces were redesigned not for comfort, but to prevent rest. Before major international events like the Olympics, cities were cleaned even more strictly. Authorities made sure that no one was seen sleeping outside. The image of perfection had to be maintained. But if people were no longer in parks, where did they go? This is where the story becomes even more surprising. Many moved into 24-hour internet cafes. These are not ordinary cafes. For a small daily fee, you can rent a tiny cubicle with a computer and a soft chair or small mattress. There are showers, drinks, and cheap food available. It's cheaper than renting an apartment. Thousands of people live this way. They are known as net cafe refugees. Here's the shocking part. Many of them have jobs. They work in shops, factories, and call centers. They wear the normal clothes and carry smartphones, but they have no permanent home. They are the working homeless. You might be thinking, why don't they just rent an apartment? The answer is complicated. In Japan, renting an apartment often requires a large deposit and a guarantor. Without these, even if you have a job, getting an apartment is extremely difficult. This creates what is known as the address trap. To get a better job, you need a permanent address. But without a better job, you cannot afford a permanent address. So people get stuck. They work every day, but they do not progress. They survive, but they do not progress.
Estimates suggest that over 15,000 people in Tokyo alone live in internet cafes. This number is larger than the official homeless count for the entire country. But there is another hidden group that most people rarely talk about. Japan has far more psychiatric hospital beds per person than most countries. Many individuals with mental health problems stay in hospitals for years, sometimes decades. This system is known as social hospitalization. Instead of being visible on the streets, people are kept inside institutions. Japan also has strict drug laws. Even a small drug-related mistake can result in a criminal record. With that record, finding employment or housing becomes nearly impossible. Employers and landlords often refuse such individuals. As a result, some end up in prisons or hospitals. This is another reason why you do not see many mentally ill or drug-affected individuals on the streets compared to other countries. But physical walls are not the only thing hiding people. Culture plays a powerful role. In Japan, public image and social reputation are extremely important. Losing a job or becoming homeless is often seen as a personal failure rather than a failure of society. Because of this, many homeless individuals avoid begging. They try to remain invisible. They keep themselves and their spaces clean. They hide in quiet areas. Some even cut ties with their families completely. There is a term called johatsu, meaning evaporated people. These are individuals who disappear to avoid bringing shame to their families. Even applying for government welfare can feel humiliating. In the past, officials would contact family members to check whether they could provide support. This created a painful situation for many people. They preferred to suffer silently rather than expose their struggles. Shame became an invisible wall stronger than concrete. For years, this system maintained the appearance of order. But then 2020 arrived. The COVID-19 pandemic forced businesses to close, including 24-hour internet cafes. Suddenly, thousands of hidden individuals had nowhere to go. They were pushed into the open. The government had to rent hotel rooms for them. The hidden reality became visible. The official number of 0.003% clearly did not tell the whole story. Today, about 15% of Japan's population lives in relative poverty. This percentage is higher than in some other developed countries, but the poverty is often hidden from public view. The streets remain clean, the statistics appear small, yet the struggle continues behind closed doors, inside small cubicles, hospitals, shelters, and silent rooms. Now, let me ask you something deeply important. Is it worse for a society to have visible poverty or invisible poverty? If people are hidden away, does the problem truly disappear, or does it simply become easier to ignore? As students learning English, you are not just learning vocabulary, you are learning to think critically. You are learning to question numbers and understand systems. That is powerful. So, tell me in the comments, what do you think? Should problems be visible so society feels pressure to solve them, or is maintaining order more important? I truly want to hear your opinion because your voice matters here at English Highlight. Before you leave, if this story opened your eyes and helped you learn new vocabulary and ideas, do not stay silent. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe to English Highlight. Here, we do not just practice English, we explore real stories, powerful ideas, and global realities together. Your support helps us create even better content for students like you. And trust me, the next story will challenge your thinking even more. I will see you in the next highlight.